BJ Mafia was popping. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are coming off a huge Week 18 victory over the Tennessee Titans at home. The Jaguars have won the AFC South. They have clinched the number 4 seed in the AFC, and they will now be hosting the Los Angeles Chargers in a wild card round matchup at home. The Jaguars have made the playoffs for the first time since 2017, and this is looking to be one of the premier matchups of wild card round weekend, considering the fact that both the Chargers and the Jaguars have two young and ascending quarterbacks that are in the upper echelon tier of NFL quarterbacks in both Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. And as you can see from the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about 3 reasons why the Jaguars can go out there and beat the Chargers in wild card round weekend. Let's start with the first reason. Now, the first reason the Jaguars can go out there and beat the Chargers in round 1 of the playoffs is because of the run game. Now, we know that the Jacksonville Jaguars had some issues with the run game early on and who was going to be running back 1 for this team moving forward, with both James Robinson and Travis Etienne really splitting a lot of the carries, even though James Robinson was the workhorse, but he was traded in the early parts of the season to the New York Jets. And now Travis Etienne has taken over reins as running back number 1 and has had a phenomenal, really rookie-type season because he missed his entire rookie season due to that Liz Frank injury. Travis Etienne had a phenomenal year this year. Etienne was 1,125 yards on the ground, which was 9th among all NFL running backs, 5 touchdowns, 5.1 yards per carry, which was 8th, and he only started in 12 games this season. Extremely impressive from Travis Etienne. And the Jaguars are doing a great job running the ball this year. They are an above-average team running the ball. They're 14th in the NFL with 124 rushing yards per game. But on the flip side, the Los Angeles Chargers, that front 7, they do not do a great job stopping the run. They're one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. The Chargers allow 146 rushing yards per game to opponents, which was 28th in the NFL. And if you go back to week 3, and while yes, the Jaguars and the Chargers are completely different teams than they were back in week 3, the Jaguars ran all over that Chargers defense. They had 151 yards rushing, thanks a lot to that 50-yard touchdown run on 4th and 1 by James Robinson. And also, now you have injuries to guys like Kenneth Murray, their linebacker. He's got a neck injury. Joey Bosa has a core injury. He left the game last weekend versus the Broncos, so that front 7's even a little more depleted. I do expect these guys to give it a go, and they're going to be questionable throughout practice the entire week, but I do expect these guys to give it a go on Saturday evening. Now, the second reason the Jaguars can go out there and beat the LA Chargers in the wildcard round is because it comes down to coaching. We all know that in the NFL, the 2 most important aspects of a franchise moving forward in a positive direction: do you have a head coach, and do you have the young quarterback that can take you to the next level? And the Jaguars clearly have both of that. While it looks like the Chargers may have had that the last couple of seasons, this is their first time squeaking into the postseason since drafting Justin Herbert just a couple of seasons ago, and now Brandon Staley's there as the head coach. Forget the quarterback comparison between Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, they are on the same tier, same echelon of those young elite quarterbacks coming up in the game. Can they break through that next level? Let's just, for the sake of argument, give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that they're exactly the same. Doug Peterson's resume as a head coach, significantly better than Brandon Staley, even though this is Brandon Staley's first time getting into the NFL playoffs as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. Doug Peterson has not only just won a Super Bowl, he's clearly developed young quarterbacks and has made Super Bowl caliber teams off of his coaching style. And we've seen Doug Peterson be aggressive. We've seen it work to his benefit. And we've also seen Doug Peterson significantly outcoach other teams this season. Now, when it comes to Brandon Staley and the LA Chargers, just in recent light, Brandon Staley was absolutely criticized by LA Chargers fans and a lot of the football media, and I completely agree. In Week 18, when he put his guys out there, they were on a 4-game win streak and they lost to the Denver Broncos, who had injuries to guys like Mike Williams, Joey Bosa, and Kenneth Murray Jr. Like, that is unacceptable to have 3 of your premier starters and all-pro caliber players out there in a meaningless game where they were locked into either the 5 or the 6 seed. And to me, that's inexcusable considering the fact that you want your guys to go in there healthy in the wild card round when you were already locked into the playoffs, the 2nd seed in the AFC West. And to me, that was absolutely inexcusable. But let's actually talk about Brandon Staley and some of his miscues. And this is a huge reason why the Jaguars could possibly go out there and beat the LA Chargers in wild card round weekend. If you remember last year, Brandon Staley versus the Las Vegas Raiders, on a 4th and 1 in the 3rd quarter, they were down 3 points. It was 14-17. The Chargers were at their own 19-yard line, and they decided to go for it on 4th and 1.5. Really, it wasn't quite 4th and 1. It was like 4th and 1.5. Brandon Staley runs the ball right up the middle. The Raiders stop him, and the Raiders end up winning this game. And if you also remember last year, Brandon Staley made another critical mistake in that game last year. In overtime, it was 32-32. The Raiders were just trying to get in a position to get a field goal, win the game, and get this game out of overtime because it was 32-32. And Brandon Staley calls a timeout inexcusable, and the Raiders go on to win the game. The Chargers missed the playoffs, and it was just a horrible decision by Brandon Staley. And then even this year, back in week 5 at Cleveland, Brandon Staley, the score is 30-28. And it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, if memory serves me correctly. They're at the 50-yard line. Cleveland has an opportunity with like a minute and 11 left in the game to go ahead and possibly, if they get a stop, they can get great field position, kick a field goal, and win the game. Brandon Staley's aggressive. He goes for it, and it is nowhere close. Justin Herbert hesitates, and the play just looked like it was a huge design bust from the get-go. And I also forgot to say about the Raiders call. When Brandon Staley called the timeout, his excuse was in the press conference locker room that Brandon Staley said, hey, we knew that the Raiders were going to go out there and run. We wanted to get all 11 of our run personnel out there, and they still didn't stop them. It was just absolutely inexcusable coaching. We've seen this from Brandon Staley time and time again. There's other examples out there I can't think of off the top of my head. And the third reason why the Jaguars can go out there and beat the Chargers in wild card round weekend is, I've said this before in the past, and I'm going to say it yet again. It's not about squeaking into the playoffs. It's about streaking into the playoffs. We know momentum carries a lot of weight in the sport of football, not just in the game, but as the weeks go on. The Chargers have won 6 out of their last 10 games. The Jags have won 7 out of their last 9, but the difference has been that the Jaguars have been extremely opportunistic when it comes to their timely turnovers and really putting games away. We know that Trevor Lawrence has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL since week 9, and Trevor Lawrence is the #1 rated quarterback in terms of passer rating since week 9. But here's Trevor Lawrence's stats from week 9 through 15. 280 yards passing per game, a 14-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and 111.2 passer rating. Weeks 15 through 18, Trevor Lawrence, quote, struggled a little bit more, but Trevor Lawrence in weeks 16 through 18, 197.7 passing yards per game, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and an 87.1 passer rating. And sure, if you want to look at Trevor Lawrence's numbers weeks 16 through 18 and say, you know what, he's taken a little bit of a dip from his hot start from weeks 9 through 15, sure, I guess analytically speaking, you're correct, but Trevor Lawrence does not need to be out there when the Jaguars defense has allowed 22 points the last 3 weeks combined to the Houston Texans, the New York Jets, and the Tennessee Titans. The Jaguars defense has 2 touchdowns in these performances, and the Jaguars defense has really been the calling card these last couple of weeks for the Jaguars. They've been doing a great job, and Trevor Lawrence, like I said, he just doesn't need to be in a position where the Jaguars are blowing an opponent out, or the Jaguars don't really need to have Trevor Lawrence out there making critical errors or putting himself in a position to where he could possibly get injured going into the playoffs. So the Jaguars didn't need to do that. That's just my 2 cents on it. And I'm going to throw a bonus one in there for you guys, kind of like a point number 4 is the Jaguars do not need to be firing on all cylinders in order to go out there and win games. That's been very evident throughout the year. The Jaguars had a hot start, then the Jaguars went to 0-5 in the month of October. Then the Jaguars got back onto a hot streak, winning 7 out of their last 9 games. And the Jaguars did a phenomenal job really finishing out the season on a hot note, on a hot streak, and ended up winning the AFC South in week 18. The Jaguars offense has proven to put up points in a hurry, and the Jaguars offense has also proven on a multitude of occasions this season that they can put up a lot of points and that they can also come back when they're down. And clearly, that was very evident versus the Raiders when they were down 17. They were down 17 to the Cowboys, and they came back on the Baltimore Ravens and got a game-winning drive and put that game away. The defense has shown that they've been opportunistic. These guys are flying to the ball, and these guys all believe in each other. Once one turnover happens, multiple happen. Once one sack happens, multiple sacks happen. And the Jaguars are constantly getting pressure, and they're making the timely plays. Like I was thinking today, the Jaguars have 4 defensive touchdowns this season. They've got Tyson Campbell's fumble recovery for a touchdown versus the Houston Texans. They had the one last week, Josh Allen getting a fumble recovery for a touchdown, Rayshawn Jenkins pick 6, and Andre Sisco had that pick 6 versus the Eagles. Like the Jaguars defense, they are extremely aggressive, and these guys play with a lot of swagger, juice, and they come and bring it every single weekend. I know I say that a lot, but it's very true, and it's very evident when you watch the games. And I did forget to say that I will be at the playoff game this weekend up in Jacksonville, man. So I expect to see you guys there at the tailgate. I expect to see you guys at the game, and I'm super excited to meet each and every single one of you guys, whether it's at the tailgate, at the game, after the game, whatever it may be. Let's bring that energy and let's bring the noise. But Chargers fans, Jaguar fans, and NFL fans out there, let me know, do you agree that the Jaguars can go out there and beat the Chargers in week 3? These are just 3/4 reasons why I believe the Jaguars can go out there and beat the Chargers this weekend. And make sure you guys do stay tuned for the Chargers and Jaguars wild card round weekend preview video. I will be dropping that tomorrow, so make sure you guys do stay tuned for that. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, man, make sure you guys drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me and the channel out tremendously. And if you guys are new here, consider hitting that subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure you guys go follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below. But thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ. I'm out, y'all. Go Jags, baby. Peace.